worried because people need knowledge. So quickly, let me take you through emotional intelligence tonight. And I hope you have your book, your pen and paper. Now, I want to start with a story. That is found in the book of 1 Kings 3, 16 to 28. And so many people must have heard this story, especially when they were growing up. And the story is told about, the king, King Solomon, a wise man who ruled Israel. And the story of King Solomon is told of the two women who gave birth to their children on a same night, and they went to sleep. And one night, during the night, one of the women woke up and realized her baby had died. And so what she did is she took her own baby and replaced her baby with the other woman's baby. And the story continues to talk about that instance. And so it says, in the morning, there was a dispute. And so they go to King Solomon. And when they go to King Solomon, King Solomon finds the dispute and he allows them to talk, to vent. And the story continues to say that the woman who had replaced, her baby, her dead baby, with the other woman's baby which was alive, demanded, or even actually said that baby was hers. Now, one most interesting thing that I find with King Solomon, and this is where I begin the discussion of emotional intelligence, is King Solomon does not actually order or authorize the baby to be given to the one who was demanding or claiming the baby. What King Solomon does, he calls for a knife or a panga, and then the king says, "Let us cut the baby into two and give each one of you a half, because you're claiming that this baby is yours." This is a story that I want to build on emotional intelligence. When the king does that, what happens is the mother whose baby was alive cries out and says, "I love my baby so much, please don't kill her. Give my baby to the woman who is claiming her and let the baby live." Look at what Solomon does. Solomon says, the mother who has cried out, save the baby, because the other woman said, kill the baby, cut the baby into two, and let everyone carry half. At least no one will have the baby at the end. King Solomon uses emotional intelligence, and this is where I'm really starting, because it's very important. While King Solomon should have sympathized or felt the mercy or the sympathy, his sympathy to the woman who was crying out and claiming the baby, he did not allow his emotions to be influenced by the emotions of the other woman. So what he did is he gave the baby to the woman who actually said, save the baby and give the baby to the other lady. Now, when you look at so many leaders today, when you look at many leaders, many managers, many entrepreneurs, they are often caught up by dilemmas or in dilemmas. And when they are caught up in dilemma, decisions are made sometimes based on emotions. So many times we make decisions because of emotions. We are going through a period where so many people are depressed. So many people are going through trauma. And if we do not have emotional intelligence, then we will make decisions based on emotions. And this is why I'm bringing this topic, because it's very important for everyone. If we will be able to disconnect our emotions from our thought system, then we are going to win the battle. And especially the success of an entrepreneur, the success of a manager, this is important for us. It is based on your emotional intelligence. So quickly, let me just define what emotional intelligence is. So what is emotional intelligence? Sometimes we call it EI, which is emotional intelligence, or EQ, emotional quotient. And when we talk about emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions of self and others. You have the notes there. Please take notes because this is important. The reason why I'm projecting my notes without hiding them is because the notes are more important than my image. And I'm sure you can learn quite a lot. I know you have a book, you have a pen, take it, take your notes. This is going to help you so much. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions of yourself and others. We need to understand that we do not operate in the vacuum. We do not operate in the space. Every day you wake up, there are people in your house. There are people where you go to do shopping. There are people in the office. There are people everywhere. And our ability to manage or to recognize and understand and manage the emotions of us, our emotions and other people's emotions is called emotional intelligence. Organizations that are led by emotionally intelligent leaders are found to be 20% better than those that are led by people who are not emotionally intelligent. When you are an emotionally intelligent leader, when you are an emotionally intelligent manager, you make your organization 20 times better than organizations that are led by people that are not emotionally intelligent. And that is very important. I'm just showing you how important emotional intelligence is. Now, there's something called culture, and culture is what we call the shared values of an organization. Culture leads to 30% organizational performance. Every time you see good performance, every time you see the banks, the organizations posting good profits or even posting growth, it is 30% of that growth is contributed by a good culture. But emotional intelligence of the leader and the employees contribute to 70% of organizational performance. While 30% of the growth and the performance of an organization is determined by good culture, EI, or emotional intelligence of the leaders and the employees, contribute to 70% of the organizational performance. And this tells you that emotional intelligence is critical. And like I said, it is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions and that of others. Please follow me because I'm going to show you some interesting things here. Leaders with high emotional intelligence lead from the desire and hope for success rather than fear of failure. Many people, and especially when it comes to decision making, they make decisions from a point of fear of failure. But when you have emotional intelligence, you don't make decisions based on fear or failure, but on hope and desire for success. That's very important. When you are emotionally intelligent, you do not make decisions based on fear to fail, but based on your hope for success. Please follow through. Listen to what Aristotle says. Aristotle wrote and said, anybody can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person and to the right degree and at the right time and for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not within everybody's power. That is not easy. What Aristotle is saying is that emotional intelligence has a lot to do with how you become angry, who you become angry with, how the level or degree of your anger, and when you become angry. All that, and having anger for the right purpose. When we are not able to control or manage our anger, then we are losing emotional intelligence. And I'm saying this because sometimes emotional intelligence can get out of control. Our intelligence can get out of control, or our emotions can get out of control when we are panicking. And especially at times as this, when we are panicking, when people are afraid of what will happen next, we need emotional intelligence. Otherwise, we will panic because of what is happening around. I mean, we've seen situations where people have to make very critical decisions, and those critical decisions need to be not based on emotions, but based on the right, analysis of the environment. I'm going to analyze it further. Now, why is emotional intelligence important? Why is this emotional intelligence important? Emotional intelligence forms the juncture at which cognition and emotion meet. You see, everybody has a level at which they recognize themselves. How much do you know yourself? How much do you know your emotions? How much do you know your thought system? How much do you know your anger levels? How much do you know how you reason, your analysis to issues? How much you recognize yourself, or your level of cognition, you need to meet that with your emotion, so that you know that you can get out of hand, or your anger can get out of hand. And because you know that, you have a level of managing your emotions. That is emotional intelligence. Take notes. It facilitates our capacity to do the following. Emotional intelligence facilitates our capacity to do the following. Number one, to be resilient. When you have emotional intelligence, you are resilient. Resilience, fighting through times and seasons, fighting through hard times. Listen, every entrepreneur, every manager right now is going through a period where making right decisions is not going to be very easy. But you see, that decision has to be made. Those decisions have to be made. You have to make a decision whether to recruit or to fire. You have to make a decision whether to close a branch or to open a new one. You have to make a decision whether you're going to change your products or not to change the products. That is very important, and it requires resilience. Number two, your motivation. Motivation of people. And by the way, we are on Facebook Live. If you had invited someone and they're not able to join Zoom, kindly refer them to Facebook Live, because we are streaming live on Facebook at Geoffrey KILONZO. So you can advise anyone who is requesting for the link to go to Facebook Live and follow it, or the same. When you have emotional intelligence, it capacitates you, or it enables you to get self-motivation, which is very important. Self-motivation for a leader or an entrepreneur or a minister of the gospel is really important right now. And not even right now, all the times you are a leader. Leadership is a very lonely place. Being the leader of the business is a very lonely situation, and you require self-motivation to be able to gather, to even motivate other people. When you do not have self-motivation, you are not able to motivate other people. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a pastor, you find yourself lonely. You find yourself without someone to motivate you. And when you find yourself in that point of time, you need self-motivation. And that is called emotional intelligence. When you're able to motivate yourself and push yourself moving, it's really, really important. The other thing that emotional intelligence does, it capacitates us in empathy, or to empathize. To empathize is to put yourself in other people's shoes. When you have emotional intelligence, you do not sympathize, you empathize. When you empathize, and I'm going to show you in a short while what empathy means to when it comes to emotional intelligence. You are able to understand people from where they are, or from their point of view. But again, you can make a decision as a leader without going to the level, or stooping to the level of the people that are following you. Look at what empathy does. I gave you the story of Solomon, and I told you Solomon made a decision, and he took the baby, took a machete, and said, "I'm going to cut the baby into two." Of course, he was not going to cut the baby into two, but this was empathy. He could feel the pain of the women. But for him to make a good decision, or the right decision, he had to be the king he is. He had to be the leader he is, and make a decision without necessarily sympathizing. Because sometimes when you're a leader and you lack emotional intelligence, what happens is, then when people are going through pain and they're crying, you cry with them. You don't cry as a leader when people are crying. You are the only man who has to be left standing when others are falling aside. And that is emotional intelligence. The other thing that emotional intelligence does, gives you reasoning. All right. An emotional intelligent leader needs to have the ability to reason and not to listen to the heart. Many times the heart can lie to you. But when you are able to reason with what your heart is feeling, then you are developing your emotional intelligence. Then stress management. Stress management is important because emotional intelligence trains you to have stress management levels. That you are able to smile in the midst of crisis. You are able to pat yourself on the shoulder and say it is well. Things are going to work out, even when things look dark and nothing is working out. It's very important. Sometimes you're being locked out of your office. Sometimes there's no pay, a salary to pay the employees. Sometimes there's no money to pay the bank. But you know what? Emotional intelligence is for you to work in that office when things are crumbling, when things are going down, but you are keeping the smile of hope and you are telling your employees it is going to work. Things are working out well. In fact, today is the best day of our life. That is emotional intelligence. You're not lying to yourself. You're just making it, making yourself strong to stand in times of trial. The other thing is communication. Right communication, or emotionally intelligent leaders have the right communication. They communicate from a point of emotional intelligence and not emotions. When you communicate from a point of emotions, what happens is people begin to sympathize with you or sympathize with the situation. But you need to stand at a point where you can tell people we are winning the battle, even when you feel the battle is far from being won, because emotional intelligence helps you to communicate the right thing. Ability to read and navigate a bunch of social situations and conflicts, that is what emotional intelligence does. It enables you to read the situation, to read the circumstances, to read how things are coming out, and then be able to navigate the same situations without losing control of your organization, without losing control of yourself, without losing control of your vision. Even when things are tough and things are not working, an emotionally intelligent leader does not lose the compass. You stick to the direction you're going, even when it's a dark season. And that is the importance of emotional intelligence. Now, there are 4 attributes of emotional intelligence. There are 4 attributes of emotional intelligence, and this is as defined by Daniel Goleman, and these are the 4. Number 1, self-awareness. I said, please take your book, take your pen, and take notes. This is very important for a leader, for a manager, for a preacher of the gospel, for anyone who is in any position of leadership. You need this knowledge. This is very important at a time as this. The 4 attributes or the 4 characteristics of emotional intelligence. An emotionally intelligent leader, an emotionally intelligent person has these 4 things. Number 1, self-awareness. Number 2, self-management. Number 3, social awareness. And number 4, relationship management. These are the 4 attributes of emotional intelligence. So when we say I am emotionally intelligent, I'm saying I'm self-aware of myself, or I'm aware of myself. I am managing myself. I'm aware of my people. I'm aware of the people that I'm with. I'm aware of my colleagues. And I'm not only aware of my colleagues, I'm also relating with them properly or in the right way. Listen to this quote by Daniel Goleman. He says, Daniel Goleman has written a book called Emotional Intelligence. Please, I want to recommend this to every reader and every leader. Daniel Goleman says, if your emotional abilities aren't in hand or are not in your hands, if you don't have self-awareness, if you are not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't even empath, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are not going to get very far. And I want to challenge you, because please take this quote. It tells you a lot. You can be very intelligent, because IQ is not EQ. IQ is your intellectual, is your intellect, is your ability to understand things. These are your skills. Your IQ can be so good, but if your EQ is not good, then you are going to fail. So he says, if you are very smart in what you do, but you're not able to manage yourself, you're not able to discover yourself, and you are not able to manage relationships in your vicinity or in your area of work, then you are not going far. This is critical. This is very important. Look at this. Let's go one by one. Self-awareness. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and name your own emotions and how they affect your thoughts and behaviors. The ability to recognize and name your own emotions and how they affect your thoughts and behaviors. Look at this. Every single individual, you need to have the ability to recognize your emotions, to recognize your emotion and how they affect how you make decisions. A study shows that 95% of people think they are self-aware of themselves, or they are self-aware. Many people think they know themselves, but actually a research has shown that 95% are not aware of who they are. Only 10% or 15% who understand who they are. Many people think they know themselves, but we don't know ourselves until we start making grave mistakes, until we start making mistakes that haunt us afterwards, and we realize we never understood who we are. We never knew who we are. So self-awareness, self-discovery is important for every leader. Self-understanding, know your emotions, know your anger levels, know how you react when you are angered, know what you can control and what you can't control in your life. This is being self-aware of yourself. Not how many degrees you have. You can have a PhD, but you're so weak when it comes to your emotions. And I'm saying this because emotions have destroyed great leaders. Emotions have destroyed many people. And I'm sorry to say this because we can even see it globally right now. When presidents stand and make emotional statements without controlling the emotions, and those emotional statements, they set a whole country at a blaze, or it sets a whole country in war. Why? Because emotional intelligence is not your intellectual capacity. This is important. Now, watch this. In order to bring out the best in others, you first need to bring out the best in yourself. No leader can manage other people without managing themselves first. And I'm sharing this because this is important. For you to be able to lead people, you must be able to lead yourself first. For you to be able to manage other people, you need to be able to manage yourself first. To create self-awareness, you need to carry out a 360-degree feedback. And this is a recommendation right now. You can ask your seniors what they think about you. If you have someone you look up to, if you have a mentor, if you have a role model, you can ask them what they think about you. Then take note of what they tell you. Then go to someone who reports to you, or someone whom you think is your junior or your subject. Take note of what they tell you, they think about you, and let them be honest about it. Because self-awareness, creating self-awareness is important. And we need to come out of our pride and learn to create self-awareness. Then go to your peers, people that you laugh with, people that you have coffee with, people that you go to, to party with, and ask them what they think about you. When you collect the feedback from your seniors, your juniors, and your peers, it is vertical and horizontal. Then compare that with what you think about yourself. Evaluate your own assessment and then match it up against options of others. That way you are creating awareness of yourself. Let me tell you something. It is so humbling when you ask for feedback from people and they give you feedback, even when that feedback is negative. It is okay. It will help you. Even when people are criticizing you, it is okay. That will help you to become a better leader, to become a better manager, to become a better, a preacher, to become a better speaker. That way it's gone. And I'm telling you, I do this after every session I have. I call people who are in my Zoom class and I ask them, what do you think? How do you think I performed? How do you think, what do you think I should do better? Because if you don't get that feedback, you will think you are a star, yet people can see your flaws, can see your gaps, and you will never have the opportunity to fix those gaps. So I want to encourage encourage everybody, please get a 360-degree feedback about who you are, about your leadership, about your management skills, about what you do, and analyze that and make it your own. Marshall Rosenberg said this, and this is really important. He said, we are dangerous when we are not conscious of our responsibility for how we behave, think, and feel. We are dangerous when we are not conscious of our responsibility for how we behave, think, and feel. Listen, you need to be in charge of your feelings. You need to be in charge of what people feel about you. That's really important. All right, let's look at what Carl Jung said. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. And able to get the unconscious behaviors, you know, those things that you do without your conscious, without being conscious about those things that you do, and you realize, come on, I just did that. You know, you say something and you're like, did I just say that? Those things that you do without being conscious about, you need to bring them to your consciousness. Because if you cannot manage what you are unconscious about, what you are unconscious about will destroy you. And that's, please, very important. Let's look at self-management. Self-management is the other attribute of emotional intelligence. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're taking this to your heart. This is really important. Self-management refers to the ability to manage your emotions, particularly in stressful situations, and maintain a positive outlook despite setbacks. So many times we will have setbacks. So many times we are pushed to the wall. So many times people make us feel agitated. But look here, your self-management ability is when it refers to your ability to manage your emotions, particularly in stressful situations, and stressful situations, and maintain a positive outlook. Right? I hope that is very clear. All right, I'm just getting to feedback from my Facebook people, and I think the notes, I hope the notes can be clearer, because I don't want you to miss anything. Oh my. I will have to share this. If the notes are not clear, please, I will share this again, because I don't want to miss, I don't want you to miss anything. I don't want you to miss anything if you're on Facebook page. All right, but let me just continue, because we are halfway done. Emotional intelligence helps you to move from reactions to response. Every leader who is emotionally intelligent does not react to situation. They respond to situations. Now, response is more powerful than reaction. Why? When you are responding, you have taken time to analyze a situation, and you respond based on information. You respond based on what are the facts. Reacting means just jumping into conclusion without analyzing situations. Self-management calls for your ability to respond to issues and not just react to issues. Now, I picked up a scripture here, which is really important, on guarding your heart. The book of Proverbs 4:23, and I know all of you are Bible readers. Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. Self-management talks about managing your heart and managing your emotions, because emotions sprout out of the heart. If you're able to guard your heart, if you're able to, protect your heart, then that is very important, because out of your heart, that's where reactions come from. That's where emotions come from, and it's very important. Now, Matthew 12:25, that 5 says, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. So in the heart, there are treasures. And that's why I'm saying emotions sprout out of the heart. And that's why the Bible is advising, guard your heart. If you don't guard your heart, you lose your emotional intelligence. An evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. So when you don't guard your heart, then out of the heart, which has been, deposited negative things, will come out your emotions, and you will not be able to control what comes out of the heart. You know, I have seen people while we are at that. I have seen people who are not able to control their emotions. I have seen people who are not able to control what they feel. And that is really messy, because when you're not able to control the anger that you feel or the frustrations, then you actually bring out the frustration and cause other people to be frustrated. I'll give a quick example of a gentleman in the Bible. His name is Jabez. You see, Jabez, he is said to have been born out of pain. And the pain that Jabez had, he was causing other people pain because he was already in pain. Emotional intelligence is your ability to have pain, but you don't pass it to other people. You're feeling the pain, but you don't pass it to other people. Please note that that is very important. That is very critical. Now, let me move on quickly and give you tips on the 4 disciplines of the heart. Why am I saying guard your heart? Why am I saying guard your heart? The heart of a man, and this is emotional intelligence, the heart of a man is meant for 4 things. Number 1, reflections. Your heart is important because it's out of the heart where you reflect. Every time after work you go and relax, you sit somewhere and you're thinking about what was happening during the day, how business was, what you did well, and what you did not do well. What happens is your subconscious mind kicks in, and when your subconscious mind kicks in, it is what was deposited in the heart that begins to come to your mind, and you begin to chew cans. When you're chewing cans of what was going through during the day, that is the heart reflection. So you need to guard your heart so that your heart can give you good reflections of who you are and what is happening around you. When you allow so much crap to go into your heart, your reflections will not be correct, because they will be based on the wrong things that you allowed to get into your heart. Emotional intelligence is guarding your heart from allowing things that can go into your heart and spoil you. The second thing the heart should do is allow you to rest. Or the second discipline of the heart is the discipline of rest. It is from the heart where you get rest. Every time you go to rest, your heart begins to function. Your heart begins to, the heart of the mind is not the heart that we talk about, where the cardiovascular is and where the physical heart. This is the heart of a man, the emotions of a man. So that is where you get rest. When you are emotionally at rest, you can rest from other emotions of the world. So allow your heart to rest. Don't allow too much to get into your mind of the heart, because it will never allow you to rest. There are people who do not sleep during the day and the night. They keep awake all day long, not because they are reading, not because they are doing something constructive, but they are so depressed because they allowed their hearts to get deposits of negativity. And those negativities allow you not to rest, do not allow you to rest. The third discipline of the heart is the discipline of creativity. Oh, by the way, sorry, creativity does not come from the mind. Creativity comes from the heart. And this is a very important point I want you to take home. You see, if you want to know that creativity comes from the heart, think about the most creative things you have ever come up with in life. And think about the situation you are in when you're being creative or you're coming up with that creative thing. If it's a song, for example, this was in music industry. It is when you are relaxed. It is when you take that back seat and lock yourself in, and then you allow yourself to meditate. That is when you become creative. That is when your creative power kicks in. So you need to allow your heart to be guarded so that it can be creative during your most relaxing time. That is important. And the fourth discipline of the heart is the discipline of relationships. Best relationships come from the heart, not the mind. And people who relate with the mind, they easily lose relationships or lose friends or lose their spouses. Why? Because you never laughed with your heart, you only laughed with your mind. So the reason why the Bible says we should guard our hearts than anything else is because there are 4 disciplines, or there are 4 things that your heart needs to do. Reflect, rest, create, and relate. Very important. Very important. Please take those notes. They are going to help you very much. Now, every leader, an emotionally intelligent leader, must have an open mind and not a closed mind. An emotionally intelligent leader must have, must have an open heart and not closed heart. Now, this is the question I keep asking myself. And this is why I'm bringing this one out very strongly. Now, the question is, if I open my heart for people, am I still guarding my heart? If I close my heart from people, am I being an emotionally intelligent leader? And I want to demystify this tonight. A good leader needs to have an open heart. That is very important. And let me show you, when you have an open heart, a leader should keep his heart open but guarded. Now, these are the important points about an open heart. When you have an open heart, you seem distant. When you have a closed heart, please do the flip of this. A closed heart, I think this was an error. The closed heart, you seem distant and aloof. When a leader has a closed heart, he seems distant. Let me tell you the truth. Every time you close yourself, or you're stressed up, or you're going through painful times, and you are not able to control your emotions, what happens is people feel like you're too far from them. I'm telling you, even at your house, in your house, with your spouse, if you're married, when you're going through stressful times and you're in pain, your spouse, as much as they are so close to you, I'm telling you, even if they are on the same bed with you, they feel you're too far. There's a distance that is created when you're distressed and when you're oppressed. So emotional leadership, emotional intelligence teaches you to have an open heart and not a closed heart. Now, that is important. The other thing about a closed heart is when you do not connect to people. When your heart is closed as a leader, you don't connect. As much as people want to connect with you and to relate with you and to have time with you, you're not reachable. And it may not be your personality that you're not reachable, but it could be because your emotions have been tampered with, and so people can't connect with you. You can't smile at them. You can't give them time to even air their views. And that is a problem with a closed heart of a leader. A closed heart of a leader, you shut down communication. This is when you are not able to answer questions. Have you ever come to a point where people want to ask you a question? I mean, even in your house, let's even leave the business world a bit. Come to your house. If you are with your kids and you're seated with your kids and your baby comes running like my girl always does, your girl comes running or your baby comes running, and they're telling you about their cartoon, they're telling you about their schoolwork, but you can't just receive what they're saying. You know why? Because your heart is closed, and emotions, uncontrolled emotions, make our hearts be closed. So we need to open our hearts, but guard them. And I'm showing you this. You leave people to fend or to navigate for themselves. If you're a leader and you're running a business and you have a closed heart because of an lack of emotional intelligence, you leave people to fight their own battles. They can't engage you in discussions, and that is not good. You focus on people's mistakes. A leader who does not have emotional intelligence always sees the negative of other people and not the positive side of them. And it's not because people are not doing the right things, but your eyes are so covered with negativity that you are not able to see the positive that other people are doing. And that is not good for a leader. You become critical and demanding. You want to order people around. You want to instruct people and be harsh. If you want to see a leader whose heart is closed, they are harsh to people, they are demanding, they are commandeering, they don't listen. They don't allow people to express themselves. And that is not where an emotionally intelligent leader should be. Let's look at the open-hearted leader, okay? Oh yeah, and this is a very important point there, that people feel oppressed by your presence. A leader who does not have emotional intelligence and they are oppressed and depressed by things, they make other people around them feel oppressed. I mean, have you ever been in a place where your leader comes and they're not saying anything, but their presence is depressing you? Their presence is making you oppressed. Their presence is making you uncomfortable. You know why? Because when their hearts are closed, when the heart of a leader is closed from the people around them feel depressed. And please, we are leaders to empower people and not to oppress people. Now, let's look at an open heart. Please note the change there. An open-hearted leader, you are fully present and accessible. Despite the pain you're going through, despite the emotions that you're going through, emotional torture that your business is taking you through, you need to be fully present and accessible to your people. You connect to people and people connect with you easily. When you have emotional intelligence and you have mastered the art of your leadership, people connect with you easily. People feel easy to come to your office and smile with you and have time with you. Your communication is open. People will share their views. People will tell you what they think about the business. People will tell you what they think about your leadership. People will tell you what they think about everything. And that helps you to shape up as a leader. You become a resource to your people. An emotionally intelligent leader becomes resourceful because they have managed the emotions. Even when you have quarreled at home, and this is terrible. I mean, if you've ever gone to this high school where the teacher had a pathetic time at home, and they come the following day caning every student, punishing every student, that is lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence should help you to separate pains with situations. Don't mix what you're doing with what you feel. Your point of view is areas of improvement, not challenges. When you have emotional intelligence and you have an open heart, then you should look at things from the point of improvement and not challenges. And finally, you focus on what is missing and not what is wrong. Please take note of this. This is so important. All right. Yes, I totally agree, Catherine. Like I said, I made a mistake. On the left is the closed heart, and on the right is the open heart. Please take note of that when you're taking notes. The left is the open heart. The right is the left is the closed heart. The right is the open heart. Thank you so much, Catherine, for that point. Yeah, I noted the mistake. So let's go further. Let's go further. And thank you for feedback when I'm with you here and you're giving me feedback. I truly appreciate. Now, when you have an open heart as a leader, when you have an open heart as a leader and you have emotional intelligence, then you are affirming and encouraging. Leaders who have emotional intelligence affirm, they congratulate, they acknowledge performance, they encourage the other performer. Listen, don't see the negative of your people all the time. At the end of the day, those people, even if they are making mistakes, they are the ones that are bringing you business. Don't just see the negative of them, see the positive. They sacrifice. Some of them come to work when they're sickly. They really sacrifice, including even church, even for church leaders. I mean, you have a gathering of people. When they sit in that church, you do not push anybody to come from home to sit in a church. I'm telling you, even as pastors, we need emotional intelligence where we can acknowledge people's effort to come to a church service on a day when it's rainy. Everybody requires emotional intelligence. I want to really encourage this. Then people feel free with you. When you have emotional control and your heart is open, people are free to share with you. Now, let me quickly look at social awareness, the third attribute, and I'm closing in 5 minutes, the third attribute of emotional intelligence. The first one, remember I say self-awareness, then it's self-management, and then social awareness. Now, look at this. Social awareness is the ability to understand other people's point of view, their emotions, concerns, and needs to show empathy. When you have emotional intelligence, you are able to understand other people's point of view. I want you to understand that every time you meet someone who is sharing anything with you, who is communicating with you, they are not you. And don't force them to be you. Your emotional intelligence helps you to understand people from their point of view, not from your point of view. And that is the mistake managers and leaders do, because you want people to do things like you do. There is a process that you can help people to be like you, but understand people and empathize with them. Empathy is to put yourself in their shoe. Empathy is striving to understand the other people's feelings and perspectives. Putting yourself in their shoes. That is important. Dale Carnegie said this, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie said, when dealing with people, remember you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion. And I want to say it again. When you are dealing with people, remember you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotions. You are not dealing with machines. You are dealing with people that are people who have feelings, people who can cry, people who can break. When you call them names, when you call them all sorts of names, when you use the F words on people, remember they are people with emotions. And I'm telling you this because when people get to the streets, even like America, you can tell these people are not going to the streets because of anything, but they are people with emotion. They can feel the pain. When one loses a loved one, they feel the pain. I mean, have you been to organizations where you apply for a sick leave and a manager blatantly says no? How can you say no to someone when they are asking you for a sick leave and you don't know how much painful that what much pain they are going through? When someone loses a loved one and they want to go and bury them and you tell them no, it is true your business is important, but listen to me. You need emotional intelligence where you can understand the pain of others, because one time you may be going through pain and you may want people to understand you as well. And finally, relationship management. I've given you attributes of emotional intelligence. Relationship management. Relationship management refers to your ability to influence, coach, mentor others, and resolve conflict effectively. Every leader, every manager, any human being, because in one way or the other will be interacting with people. You need the ability to influence people, coach them, train them, ability to mentor them to become better like you. So if you feel people have gaps, if you feel people can't get what you're saying, then mentor them to be good, to be like you, and then resolve conflicts effectively without taking sides. Research shows that every unaddressed conflict can waste about 8 hours of company time in gossip and other unproductive activities, putting a drain on resources and morale. This is the point. When you do not resolve conflicts in your business, when you do not resolve conflicts of companies, when you of customers, when you do not resolve conflicts of your employees, it will waste more than 8 hours of people discussing the same thing that which you would have taken to your hands and resolved. Emotional, intelligent leaders resolve issues. They do not postpone problems. Maya Angelou says this: I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. If you have emotional intelligence, then you need to understand that people need an experience with you. Every time you interact with someone, they want to have an experience. They want to go home and remember how they felt when they were with Geoffrey, how they felt when they met Geoffrey the first day, the discussions, the points they got. That experience, people never forget. People can forget all the points, but they will never forget if you've made them feel painful or happy. That is important. And so emotionally intelligent leaders need to leave a mark of joy. You need to leave a legacy to be remembered in the right way. And in conclusion, friends, I want to pick 2 points from Mike Murdock. And Mike Murdock in his book, whether it's Mike Murdock or Murdock, it depends on where you're coming from, he says this: remember, silence cannot be misquoted. Silence cannot be misquoted. Every intelligent man, emotionally intelligent leader should understand sometimes it's okay to be quiet, to be silent, and to say nothing. Just relax. And remember, silence here does not mean being closed. It means you can be open-hearted but silent. It's not what other people say about us that matters. It's what you believe about yourself. And this is important. Your words are the bridge to your future. Your words are the bridge to your future. Every idle word can affect you and your destiny. Mind what you say. Avoid advertising your own mistakes and discussing people you work with. It only exposes you more. If you want to know people who do not have emotional intelligence, people who do not have emotional intelligence, they discuss people, they discuss others with colleagues. If you're a leader, avoid calling people or people you work with in your office and discussing another employee. If you have to do that, get it as a report. Avoid backbiting. Avoid talking about people. You are losing your emotional intelligence. And finally, manage fatigue. Manage fatigue. This is from Mike Murdock. He says, when fatigue kicks in, efficiency and competence leaves. Every time you're fatigued, please avoid making decisions under fatigue. It is emotional intelligence. If you feel your mind is clogged, if you feel you cannot take it anymore, take a leave, go home, take a week off, relax, restart your mind. Have time to debrief, because emotional intelligence is important even when you're relaxing. Are you following me? Fatigue can be costly to your health and relationships too. So when you are fatigued, it can affect you. And you cannot be emotionally intelligent when you are under fatigue. Rest time is repair time. Please remember this. Rest time is repair time. Avoid engaging in conversations when you are fatigued. You will create a mess you cannot mend. Finally, tired minds rarely make good decisions. I want to leave you with those points today. I talked about emotional intelligence.